Love smarter, not harder. Today's question. Dr. Karen, I have a problem. It seems I can form friendships with many men. I can have great conversations and enjoy their company, but when it comes down to attraction, I just don't have it for them. They can give me the attention and treat me nice, but it just isn't there for me. Am I being unrealistic in wanting a passion, spark, or chemistry that makes me want to be kissed or touched by them? I feel like there is something wrong with me, especially since I did find that chemistry with someone once, but they were unhealthy and toxic for me. Can you please help me figure out what's wrong with me? So I have 2 podcast episodes for you, which I know will be very helpful. One is episode 89, in which I talk about how to know when you've met the one. And Dan joins me and we talk about what it was about each other that let us know this is my person. But more importantly, I share research by Dr. Robert Sternberg. I've talked about it before, but he talks about his triangular theory of love, which includes 3 components. One is the friendship, intimacy piece. The second is commitment and fidelity and desiring to be with each other and maintaining that commitment. And the third piece is what you talk about here. It's about the spark, the romance, the sexual chemistry. You gotta have that. If you don't have that, you might as well just marry a buddy, right? You might as well date your best buddy. That's the piece of love that's the part, the Zazazoo, they called it in Sex and the City. It's the part we want so desperately, and we absolutely should have, because if we don't, and sometimes people do this, they just find somebody who's good enough and they like them enough, but they don't have that intense connection on the physical and the chemistry level like we were talking about. If they do that, then they're prone to stray later because they're gonna miss it. I mean, that's the point. That's what separates the love relationship with your person from your other very strong, deep connections that you have with other people in your life. So listen to that episode and be assured you absolutely need that chemistry and you deserve it. And if it's not there, it's just not a fit for you. Now, the second part of your question about having that intense connection on the physical level with someone who's no good for you, someone who's toxic for you, someone who's unhealthy for you. For understanding that, that's a deeper question. There's a lot to unpack there, and it's not something I can do just by reading a question. You need to see a therapist, you need to read some books, listen to podcasts, perhaps a dating coach could help you unpack some of this, because this is going to be, it could be a lot of things going on. Ken Page, who's a psychotherapist, and he joined me in episode 63 of the podcast called Discover Deeper Love Through Deeper Dating. Ken Page talks about what he calls an attraction of deprivation, and that's what you're experiencing. You're having this intent and energy with someone who's no good for you. And Ken talks about how that's usually coming from some deficit within us, that we're hoping this person can fill that void. And again, it's much too complex to get into in just an IGTV video, but his book, Deeper Dating, is fantastic. I would recommend you check that out. And episode 63, like I said, of my podcast can be helpful. And do pursue understanding that. The fact that you notice it and you see the pattern, that's the first step. Now you know that you have a tendency to go for the bad boy or someone who's not going to treat you right. The next step is to start working on yourself. Don't even worry about the other person. Start working on yourself and building up your own sense of self, sense of self-worth. And that's going to take some personal growth and development. It's going to take some introspection, asking yourself some hard questions, digging a little deep so that you feel good about yourself, know what you're worth. And when you start to build yourself up, you naturally will be drawn to people who value you, what Ken calls value your core gifts. If you don't do this work, then you don't really believe you're worthy of someone who treats you great. So you want to start with yourself, do some work on yourself, and your attractions will begin to change based on the work you're doing within. I hope that's helpful.